guys, welcome back to Move Wilder. My name is Hannah and today I'm going to take you through a 30-minute Pilates workout specific for cycling. So I am a cyclist, my passion is cycling. I love nothing more than getting out on my mountain bike, letting go of the world, just me, the trails and being out within nature. That's kind of where, that would be where I'd be all the time if I could be, other than on a Pilates mat of course. And so I've always used Pilates as part of my training when I was racing elite cross country, and then when I moved into the wacky world of 12-hour racing and then onto stage racing. I've always had Pilates as my go-to to keep my body balanced. And that is why I developed Velocore, which is my cycling specific strength and mobility app that you can check out at velocore.co.uk for more information, or just send me a comment and I will send you more information. Today we're going to look at addressing some of the common imbalances that happen when you're cycling, like tight hips, overstretched upper back muscles, issues with the stabilisers in the legs. So 30 minutes of your time to improve your cycling and your enjoyment when you're on your bike. Let's get going. Welcome to my setup video. So in this video, I am going to show you how to set yourself up for good standing alignment. So you're going to bring your feet together. You're going to take your heels out and then bring your toes out to meet them. So your feet are sitting underneath your hips. You can take them to shoulder width if that is more comfortable for you. Then we're just going to take a gentle rock backwards and forwards, pushing the weight down into your toes and then into your heels. And I want you to make that rock slower and slower until you bring your weight to a standstill where that weight is evenly balanced between your heel and toe. And we're going to push the weight more into the outside of the foot than the inside. Nice soft knee, so make sure that you're not locking out the knee joint. And then we're coming up to our pelvis and we're going to take a gentle tuck and tilt, bringing that pelvis to a standstill where that tailbone is pointing down towards the ground, restacking those vertebrae, growing towards the ceiling, eyes on the horizon, shoulder blades melting down your back. I'm now going to take you through the breathing, core and pelvic floor. So as you inhale, your diaphragm is going to move down into your abdominal space. So your belly is going to grow and your rib cage is going to expand. Your pelvic floor releases at this point. As you exhale, your pelvic floor engages. So we're thinking sit bone to sit bone, pubic bone to tailbone, pulling your hip bones together, pulling your ribs down towards your hips and in from the sides. As you then inhale again, we're going to expand that rib cage, let go of that pelvic floor, and then we're going to exhale, bring that rib cage back in, engage that pelvic floor. So again, we're thinking sit bone to sit bone, pubic bone to tailbone, pulling those hip bones together. So we're just going to do a couple of breaths together just to get that movement and that feeling going. This is something you can practice during the day, so you don't have to be doing Pilates to do this. You can practice this good breathing technique in whatever you are doing. And then coming back into your rest pose, ready to start our first week's video. I'm now going to take you through a reverse lunge with rotation. So I'm going to step back onto one leg and then we're just going to rotate slowly to each side through the thoracic spine and then come back up to standing and then step back with the other foot into our lunge. Step back lunges are more effective for targeting and building glutes compared to forward lunges. This is because that backward step really engages the hip extensors, including the glutes. So it's more heavy on glute load than it is on quad load. So it's going to really help to build up the glutes, which typically are a little bit lazy because of the amount of sitting we do in daily life. And they're a really important muscle group for getting the most out of your pedal stroke. So we really want to work on the glutes. So this is going to help to build some good strong glutes for you. Once you've finished your set, just coming back into your rest pose. We're now going to go through a side hop lunge. This is going to need some space. You're going to need to be able to move from side to side. Going to start in your neutral spine, and then we're going to jump from one leg to the other. This is going to challenge your proprioception, so where your body is in space. It's going to challenge your balance. It's going to challenge your core. So it's a really good move for working on building those good stabilizing muscles that are going to help with power efficiency through into the pedals, also with just building good muscular balance. Once you've finished your set, coming back into your rest position. Hip mobility is important for cyclists because it allows for efficient pedal strokes and greater power output, which enhances overall cycling performance. Additionally, good hip mobility helps prevent injuries by distributing forces evenly and reducing strain on adjacent joints and muscles. I'm now going to take you through a really nice hip mobility exercise. So you're going to need a thicker mat for this one, and I suggest you try and make sure your knees land on the mat. We're going to bring those feet out so they're hip distance apart, hands are behind you slightly, and we're just going to gently rock to start with from side to side. You can hold it for longer at each side if you're getting a nice stretch through the side of your leg. If you've got your hands on the floor, that's fine. Just make sure you're not leaning your weight back onto them. If you are, just bring your hands up off the floor. And then we're just going to go into stretching out and pulling ourselves up onto our knee. So you're going to push your weight forward and onto that knee. So you can see why from the video you want to have your knees on something soft like the mat. The knee on the floor is always really uncomfortable and it's not going to do your knee joint any good. So make sure that your knees are on the mat. This is also fine if you're on a carpet, that would be okay. And then once we have finished our set, we are going to come back into the rest pose. I'm now going to take you through one of my favourite exercises. We're going to do shoulder bridge with some leg abduction. So you're going to tie the band about a hand's width away from your knee joint whilst your feet and your knees are close together. Coming down onto the mat, you're going to bring your feet out as wide as you can without feeling like you're already pulling into the band. Making sure your pelvis is in neutral, arms are just resting on the floor. So palm up if you feel like you're going to push your hands down into the mat. Going to take an inhale at the bottom, and then we're going to exhale and gently roll through each vertebrae one at a time up into our bridge position. The weight is in your shoulders, not in your neck. And then we're going to push your knees out into the band, and we're doing 5 pulses. As you push out into the band, keeping your toes planted on the floor so you can feel the work in your glutes and your hamstrings. And then we're going to gently roll back down. As you pulse and as you roll back down, you can breathe however works for you. So I just want you to inhale to prepare at the bottom, and then exhale, roll up, and then breathing in a rhythm that works for you. It's really important that we strengthen our hip abductors, particularly the glute medius, because they play a crucial role in maintaining proper knee alignment during pedaling, which can make you more efficient as a cyclist and improve your power output, which of course we all want to do. So this is a really good exercise for just focusing on building that power in the side of your leg, which is going to help, like we just said, with the knee tracking. The other reason this is really important is because strong abductors, so the muscles in the outside of your leg, help to counteract the repetitive nature of that forward and back motion of cycling, which can lead to muscle imbalance. So this is a great way of kind of adding in something that isn't forward and back, because it's obviously side to side movement. So it's going to help to build muscle strength in a different plane of movement, which is key to good muscle balance. I'm doing 5 pulses at the top in this video, but if you needed to change that to either less or to more, that would be fine. This is one of those options where you can hit the pause button if you need to, add in a few extras if you feel that's right for you. What I want you to watch for is that as you are taking your knees out, your pelvis doesn't drop. So if you feel like you're sinking down, don't add any more in, maybe take a few out. Keep that pelvis lifted so you can feel those glutes and hamstrings holding and maintaining that nice bridge position from your knee through your hip to your shoulder should be a nice straight line. If you can do this next to a mirror, great, because you can see that position and make sure that you're keeping that great position as you push out. So there's kind of 2 functions of this exercise. Once you're finished, you're going to come back into your rest pose, taking a full body stretch on the way. I'm now going to take you through swimming on your front. So we're going to lay down on your front, bring your arms stretched out in front of you, and then we're going to lift the opposite arm and leg. As we do so, we're going to engage our core. So we're thinking about pulling our hip bones together, our ribs down towards our hips, and we're gently going to move from side to side, really stretching out through that arm and leg as you go. This is really good for building strength in the muscles in the backside of your body. Making sure you're not pushing your belly down into the mat. And we're going to move into a faster second set where we flow from one side gently into the other. As you're doing your faster set, trying not to rock at the pelvis, so trying to keep your hip bones flat on the floor, and this time we're just moving in a flowing motion between one side and the other. Once you've finished coming into your child's pose, holding that for between 20 and 30 seconds and then coming up into your rest pose. I'm now going to take you through an abdominal stretch. So it's probably not somewhere you've thought about stretching before. So what we're going to do is turn onto our fronts, going to come into like a sphinx pose. So pushing up onto your hands, getting a little bit of a gentle back bend here as well. And you just feel a light stretch in those abdominal muscles. The reason we want to stretch the abdominal muscles is because it helps maintain that muscle balance between the back and the front of our body. If there is any discomfort in the lower back whilst you're doing this, then please do leave this move out, which is going to support better core function and essentially make you a more efficient cyclist. Once you've held this for somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds, you can then come back into your rest pose. We're now going to go through shoulder bridge, single leg. This is an upgrade from what we've done before. So we're going to come down onto the mat, our usual neutral spine position, and then we're going to push up with one foot and leave the other leg extended in the air. If you need to, you can bend the leg a little bit. That's absolutely fine. And we're going to push straight up. So where before in our shoulder bridge we have rolled through our spine, you're now going to keep your back in that neutral position and just push straight up using your hamstrings and your glutes. Keep pushing down into the toes of the foot that remains on the floor. Upper body should stay relaxed. Once you've done one side, we're going to swap to the other. So extending that leg up and then pushing down into the foot, using your hamstrings and glutes to drive yourself up into the air, keeping hold of that rib to hip connection so your core is still switched on. Make sure you're not arching your back and kind of hyperextending towards the ceiling. And once you're finished, taking a full body stretch and then coming back up to sitting. I'm now going to take you through a really nice hip flexor stretch. So we're going to come onto our knees. So if you need to, rolling the mat up a little bit so that you've got more cushion under the knee joint is definitely a good idea. Then we're going to take a step forward with the left foot, keeping your pelvis underneath you, glutes engaged. We're going to push forward into that bent leg and keep your chest lifted. We're holding this stretch for around 30 seconds. We're then going to bring the right arm up and over and stretch out to the side. So you might find that this changes where you're feeling the stretch. You might get it more in your abs, around the side of your hip. That's absolutely fine. And again, we're holding this for 30 seconds. We're then going to change to the other side. So bring the right leg forward, keep your pelvis underneath you, push forward into that bent leg, feeling the stretch in the front of the hip for 30 seconds. And then bringing the left arm up and over so that you can feel the stretch in your side, maybe a bit in your abs, like I said, as well. Once you've held this for 30 seconds, we're going to return to our rest pose. As cyclists, we rely heavily on our hip flexors, particularly during the upstroke of the pedal revolution, where the muscles help to lift the knee towards the abs, contributing to efficient and powerful pedaling. However, tight hip flexors, often resulting from prolonged cycling or from sitting, if you're an office worker, can inhibit the hip extensors like the glutes, leading to reduced performance and increasing the risk of injuries and things like lower back pain. So I'm going to take you through a really nice exercise now for strengthening up the hip flexors, and later on we will also look at stretching the hip flexors. So we're going to need a kettlebell or a ball or anything that you can just lift your leg up and over for this exercise. Going to place that on your mat, And then you're going to sit so that your legs are to one side of whatever your object is. It doesn't have to be a kettlebell, it could be anything. Going to keep your back nice and straight. I'm going to just gently lift and lower each leg. We're going to do single legs, so we're working those hip flexors individually. And I want you to keep the movement slow and controlled. Don't try and do this one really fast. The slower you go with, the more we're going to work into that hip flexor. Really important that you keep your back nice and straight and you're not leaning your body backwards. And if you wanted to, if you're finding that challenging, you could always hold a weight above your heads, making sure that your shoulder blades remain down, your shoulders don't lift towards your ears, and that will help with that back position. Hopefully you found that really useful, and come back to your rest position. I'm now going to take you through the QL stretch. You're going to sit with your feet just further than hip distance apart. Take your right hand under the inside of your right leg. Rotate your body away to the left and bring your left arm up and over your ear and point it towards your toes. We're going to hold this position for 30 seconds. You should maintain a seated position with your sit bones stuck to the floor throughout your hold, and you should feel this stretch in your low back. Once you've done 30 seconds, you're going to come back to the neutral. Left hand goes under your left knee, and then you're going to rotate your body to the right and bring your right hand over towards your left toes, keeping your elbow over the top of your ear, so you're getting that nice stretch through the back of your back. Again, we're going to hold this for 30 seconds. Once you've done your 30 seconds, coming back up to a seated position. This next exercise is scissors, so we're going to come down onto our backs, pelvis in neutral, feet are hip distance apart, arms gently resting on the floor. We're going to bring both legs up into the air. If you can't get them completely straight, you can have a little bend in the knee. And then we're just going to slide one leg in front of the other and then in the opposite direction. You should really feel this in your lower core. And you're just taking the legs out so they're about shoulder width apart and then crossing across each other. One way and then the other. If you want to make this harder, you can bring both arms up into the air. Just make sure your shoulders remain relaxed. You're not lifting your shoulders towards your ears. And then once you've finished, pulling your knees into your chest and then coming back up to our rest position. This exercise is a fantastic one for building core strength. We're going to come down onto the mat. Now, I'm going to use a ball in the video for this, but you could also add in a dumbbell here. So we could add in a 2 kilo, or even if you're feeling like you really want to work today, 5 kilos would also work. We're then going to bring both legs into tabletop, so knees over hips, shins parallel with the ceiling, and then you're going to move the weighted arm. So in this video I'm using the right arm, and the right arm is coming up and over the right leg, which is staying still, and as I do so the left leg is extending out. Going to hold your head, neck and shoulders up off the floor. If this becomes too much on the neck at any point, then please do pop the head, neck and shoulders down on the floor. We're keeping that right leg really still as we extend the left leg out, and we're using that arm to bring our weight or our ball over the leg. Then we're going to swap to the other side. So the left arm is now moving, left leg stays still, right leg extends out, trying to make that right leg longer every time you take it out. Should be starting to feel the burn of this one in those core muscles. I love core exercises, and this is one of my favorites because it integrates so many other body parts. So we're using the arms and the legs here. And a 2013 study from the Penn State University, published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, examined lots of core exercises, and basically they found that the isolation exercises where you specifically just focus on the abs are less effective than ones where you integrate the whole body. So this is a great exercise because we are bringing in the arms, we're bringing in the legs. It's kind of multi-joint, so lots going on, and so we're really kind of like targeting those core muscles, but the body working as a whole. And of course your body, no one muscle works in isolation, so this is a great way of building a strong, stable foundation. Then you're going to bring your head, neck and shoulders up off the floor, and we're going to swap the ball between each leg as we extend the legs out. So both legs are now moving. One extends as the other bends, and we're just taking the ball or your weight between each leg, almost like the ball or the weight is drawing a figure of 8 through the legs, keeping the head, neck and shoulders up. I know this is tough, but we've only got a few reps to go. You're doing really well. Keep it going. Keep that movement nice and fluid. Keep breathing for me. Keep using those core muscles. We're building a strong core here. Keeping that movement going. Not long to go now. Keep it up. Few more reps. Keep stretching out those legs, and then full body stretch. Well done. You are finished. And coming up into your rest pose. I'm now going to take you through a really great exercise for hip mobility. So we're going to do 90-90 stretch. So coming to sitting, so your knees and your feet are together in front of you, and then let your knees fall over to one side. You're going to pick up the top leg, bring it round so your hip and your knee are in line and your foot is off behind you. You might need to put something softer underneath the foot if you're on a hard floor. So you've got 2 90-degree bends in each knee, and you're going to hold this for around 30 seconds. This is a great exercise for improving the mobility at your hip. So we're just going to hold this stretch. It's going to help to relieve the tension that you sometimes get in the hip flexors. And then when you finish, swapping to the other side. By releasing the tension at the hip flexor muscle, so in the front of the hip, we can help to contribute to better pelvic and spinal alignment, which is really key for good posture and also for performance on the bike. And when you're finished, coming up to your rest pose. I'm now going to take you through a rotator cuff exercise. So you're going to hold the band in both hands with the top of your arm staying close to your body. We're going to pull the band gently out to the sides and then resist the pull as it wants to bring you back to the middle. We're going to do 5 like this, and then we're going to hold it out for 5 little pulses, and we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of both the larger range of movement pull and also the little pulses. The rotator cuff muscles stabilize the shoulder joint, and this is a really key area for cyclists to work on in terms of having stability on the bike when you're going down the trails and the terrain gets a little bit rough, and also if you are riding a road bike, maintaining stability in the front of the bike if there's anything you go over, kind of potholes, etc., that kind of takes you off balance. This is just going to really help to build that shoulder stability. Maintaining a nice upright posture, chin stays lifted, try not to look down at the band. once you're finished, taking a nice shoulder roll and coming into your rest pose. Today we're going to start with a hand behind the back stretch. So you're going to bring one hand behind your back. You're going to take your ear over towards the opposite shoulder, tuck your chin forward and then gently pull your head forward for 30 seconds. Should feel a nice stretch in your upper back. Once you've done one side, we're going to swap to the other side. So taking your hand behind your back, tucking your chin, taking your ear to the opposite shoulder, and then gently pulling that head forward, again holding for up to 30 seconds. And then returning to your rest pose. I'm now going to take you through a standing quad stretch. So you're going to get hold of your ankle on one leg and pull your ankle towards your bum, keeping your knees in line. Pushing your hip forward. Try and hold on to your ankle instead of your toes. You might find that you get a different stretch from this position, and we're holding this for 30 seconds, as you'll see from the timer. And then we're going to swap to the other side. If you can't do this standing because the balance is tricky, you can always do this lying on your front on the mat instead, and really think about pushing that hip down into the mat, holding for 30 seconds. And then returning to your rest pose.